People who work for social media companies that reviews the community reports. What report that you reviewed that you will never forget about? I was a Facebook and Instagram mod. I got a video in my rotation, 2 little girls sitting out in a grassy area. Don't really remember much, but they were definitely between 6 to 10. I don't think they were much older or much younger. I don't remember if you could hear a guy giving them directions on what to do to each other or if it was just very obvious that they were receiving direction. Basically having them do feet stuff to each other like tickling and licking. It was very subtle because I remember having to ask if I could mark it for child porn. It was obviously CP to me and it was obvious it would lead up to more, but guidelines are very black and white and content has to meet very specific criteria. However, this video was trying to be passed off as silly kids just playing with each other. I don't know how to explain it. It was just super creepy. I had one person say they were just being silly, but another supervisor sided with me and told her it was very obviously child porn. I ended up escalating the video for child porn. I don't know what happens after that since I think it goes to a company that deals with this content. Nothing explicitly happened in the video, but it was just so disturbing and made me wonder what situation these girls were in. Not sure if it counts, but I was a mod for a subreddit related to true crime. We got a report about a guy asking really off questions. He was basically asking hypotheticals about what kinds of clues detectives would look for if his wife was murdered. He was saying that she ran on a trail that was dangerous, and if something happened to her, he would want to help with the investigation. Someone told him it seemed like he was planning to murder his wife and was soliciting advice to help cover his tracks. As soon as they said that, he deleted all of his posts and accounts. We sent the reports up the chain, and I believe the super admins may have contacted the police. I never heard any follow-ups, so I'm not sure if it was a bad joke or what. It was really unsettling though. I worked for an electric company as a secretary. Somebody called my office to report that one of our drivers was stopped at a park, playing a full-on pickup game of basketball during his work shift. I never said anything to anyone. I like that guy. I've worked for many YouTube channel, the blacklist slashed for miles, racial slurs everywhere, creepy crap about literally any female on screen. Never underestimate how moderated a large channel's comments are. Sometimes it's someone's whole day. One thing that stuck in my brain was one account that was just like pure vitriol. You guys are a disgrace. You don't deserve to live. Kill yourselves and the like. Nothing particularly specific, but just hateful. So before banning this account from commenting, I decide to click on it. It's a girl, had to be like 13 to 14, and severely mentally disabled. I couldn't stop thinking about what this girl had been through to make her so angry and that she could only express it online. I'll never forget that crap, man. How many other crappy YouTube commenters are just like bullied or even abused kids with nowhere else to lash out? I worked for a company where a user told his friend in chat he was going to kill himself by jumping from a bridge in the UK. The player reported this to police and police contacted us for IP address to go stop him. In the next few days, I checked his activity and chat logs and he was inactive, and then a few days later he was active again. Such a relief, but I couldn't sleep well those few nights worried. Oh wow, a thread tailor-made for me. I spent the last 2 years working in content moderation and I'd say I handle it well, though my short-term memory is really bad now and I'm led to believe that is a symptom of PTSD, but I'm not gonna get into that. Anyway, to answer your question, I'd say the jobs that stuck with me the most were ones that showed animal torture and then stayed on the animal. For instance, there is one video out there of this lady just casually chopping the leg of this dog off and toss it into a stew or something, but the video stays focused on this poor dog trying to come to grips with the fact it's missing a leg, trying to step on it but it can't, then it just kinda lays down and cries licking at the wound. That one is rough. The other one that comes to mind was a video of this guy being dismembered, limb by limb. Once his last leg was taken off, they proceeded to beat his skull in with his own severed leg. He stopped wailing after a while, but he was whimpering throughout the whole thing. When I was a bus driver, a passenger told me as they exited that another passenger was masturbating in the back. In addition to the alleged masturbator having severe autism, I didn't get paid enough to deal with that, so I hit a speed bump at 30 miles per hour and the problem solved itself. I feel like someone could live stream a murder on Facebook, and as long as the police didn't see it, Facebook would respond like 3 weeks later saying they couldn't find anything wrong with the post. Somewhat relevant. Today I reported a post on Facebook that someone shared of a dude freaking a raw chicken, and Facebook replied by saying that apparently isn't against their guidelines. I was a mod on a page 13 forum 15 years ago or so. People would leave the site by pornociding. I had heard about hentai but had never seen it. There were tentacles places I'm sure they shouldn't have been. Not a mod. But when I was like 17 or 18, a dude shot himself in a group video chat for no reason and I was contacted by that dude's city's police department a couple of days later. To this day I have no idea how they got my cell phone number or email address. There was no two-step verification on that website. There wasn't even forced signing up, you could just pick a random username and join a chatroom without making any account. Let's see, there was a CP raid from 4chan, a user who we were about 99% sure was a grown man pretending to be a teenage girl, but we couldn't ban them because they spent so much on the site our CM wouldn't approve it, and the hacking collective that held the site hostage for months, resulting in a massive revenue loss and lead to the demise of our company. In between all that, all the porn and gore you could imagine, nothing really bothers me anymore. Throw away because my main is too closely tied to other IRL stuff. There's a lot. I worked in the field for a year and a half and came out of it different than I went in. Places like that rot your soul, man. You see the worst of humanity in places like that. I know what it sounds like when a man splits in two. I know the thud and crunch of a jumper as they hit the ground. I know how people scream when they're inside a tire fire. The worst thing though, I was an SME and one of the people working just got up and ran sobbing. She didn't get to turn off her computer, so I had to finish the job. It sticks with me. A video of a grown man holding down a toddler and raping them. I left that place almost a year ago. I need therapy and my anxiety is worse. I got diagnosed with PTSD. It's awful that these companies chew people up and spit them out broken. They don't care. More desperate people in need of healthcare and 15 an hour will come. I needed to get that out. Thank you. I have a lot of friends who do content moderation. Probably the worst they've seen are beheadings and incredibly disturbing porn. And they were in their early 20s when they started doing that work. It's rough. Some people in content moderation get PTSD from it and they're paid crap wages by the social media companies. As mentioned already, Facebook and other bigger companies outsource some of the work to companies in the Philippines, which really disturbs me. Yikes. Was a Discord moderator for a large Discord of over 100k members. We had one guy on the Discord who was a well-known problem maker. One day he went freaking insane and started threatening to DDoS people. Problem was, he was really freaking good at it and starting dosing everyone from casual members to our admins, like over 100 people in one day. All until one of our younger, quieter mods out of the blue revealed he was insanely good at doxing and posted the guy's home address, pictures of his kids and family, and work number, and proceeded to DM them to everyone he DDoSed after we removed it. I don't advise fighting fire with fire, but holy heck did that shut him up. Last I heard of the story was that he tried to come back for round 2 until some freaking Chad lad managed to somehow get his water shut off. The moral of the story is, don't be an idiot online, because you may not be as anonymous as you think you are. I can't say much because of NDA. I had to review content flagged as inappropriate by the users. Most of the content was political and obviously reported by someone who didn't agree. Some gore would pop up here and there but nothing I couldn't handle. Until one day I saw a video. At first looked like average porn. I was going to move on but I saw it. A child. I quit right after following the protocol. I don't work for social media but some days ago there was a post going around and it had like 90k views. This post was child porn, a kid, around 8 or something having sex with his mom, and this was on Instagram. I think it already got deleted but dang it was 2 days old and with 88,000 views when it was going around. Some mad lad reported the Pope's Instagram for pornography well over 100 times. Respect. I was a mod for a dating website about 10 years ago. Saw way too many people naked or amateur porn, but what freaked me up was seeing child pornography, though it happened only once. And there were instances of single moms contacting customer care because a man targeted them specifically to get access to young kids. The company never did anything about it as far as I know. Radiolab had a super interesting episode about this and the origins of Facebook filtering out porn and graphic images. Super interesting because they outsourced and made people in other countries go through posts of horrific crap to manually sort through it. I can't remember the episode name though. Not a social media worker but I had to report an answer to a Quora post. The person asked about LGBT rights in the Middle East, and someone responded with graphic images of Arabs being hanged. You had to make an account to file a report, but I used their contact email to send the link to the question. A few weeks later, I actually got an email that the comment had been removed and action would be taken. It sucked that I had to see it, but at least I was able to report it before someone else had to be affronted by it. Bomb threat made to an airline by a disgruntled passenger. The guy who had made the threat had his flight cancelled and was in free accommodation provided by the airline. He left so many of his different social accounts public it wasn't hard to find his name, match them to flight details and get everything to the authorities. Within an hour, police confronted him in the hotel room. Before social media really kicked off, I had a job at a company called Babystation to pay my way through uni. It's a TV station in the UK which comes on around midnight. People call upon a premium rate line and talk to the babes you see on screen, talk dirty or make requests. The babes get paid exclusively according to how long they can keep people on the line, so it's in their interest to push it as far as possible, with the callers mostly guys from the Middle East. On UK TV there are strict guidelines as to what you can and cannot show. The golden rule is no vag. My job was basically to monitor the babes and make sure they didn't show any vag on live TV. The average shift I'd end up bleary-eyed at about 5 in the morning. Most of these girls were hard drug users and would come in completely glass-eyed. After 3 years I finally left, but always wondered what happened to those women. I haven't worked for social media or anything, but this is something I saw earlier yesterday. I came upon CP on Instagram. Some disgusting fool was using 2 of what looked like to be 2-year-olds to suck him off. I couldn't watch more than 3 seconds of that crap. I feel bad for the moderator who will have to get rid of that. I hope those poor babies are okay as well. I modded a website for people that weren't always stable. I know this is somewhat mild, but it's what taught me to always try to take people's remarks about themselves at face value. One of these people was a woman who kept saying that men wouldn't like her because she was too skinny, barely had boobs, or whatever else she could come up with. She was a bit too much sometimes, but mostly harmless. The site had an adult section where people flirted with each other mostly. There was a thread to leave pictures of yourself with a provocative picture or similar, and you could theoretically discuss sexual issues there as long as you weren't sending porn. People sent porn to discuss techniques they really liked, and we had to remove it. She went full nude on a thread at the adult section and told people to tear her apart. I didn't get to see the actual picture, removed by a female who removed it and asked someone else to reach out to her with an explanation, but I never thought her self-image issues were bad enough to actually put herself out there to be torn apart by random strangers. I worked as an assistant manager at a Domino's pizza shop, and part of my job was to contact costumers who reported specific staff members. I read a customer's report that said they forgot my dip. Alright, pretty standard, happens all the time. So I call the dude and he explains what happened. The first driver gave him the wrong order, so we made a new one and sent it with another driver. When he arrives at the costumer's home, the costumer tells him that we forgot the dip he ordered, so the driver tells him not to worry. I just forgot it on my motorcycle. 2 minutes later the driver doesn't return, so he looks out the window and the driver is pushing the motorcycle without starting it, so he won't notice that he's leaving. At this point in the story both me and the costumer are losing our crap laughing. He was really cool despite our freak out, so I gave him like 2 coupons for free pizzas with toppings and closed the report. Not social media, but I work for a video game company. I don't normally interact with the players and their chat at all, but I was asked to see if I could find the history of all staff searches on a table in a specific database. Some of the searches I read were horrifying. I'd heard staff from our player support team joke about the stuff they look into every day before, but to read it was something else. The one that stuck out to me was someone claiming to be 21 and sleeping with a suicidal 12-year-old. I had to go home early that day. We had a man who was role-playing as a succulent. Like his entire profile was photos of succulent plants, information about succulent plants, and all his posts were made as if he was a succulent plant. He would chat with other users as if he were a plant as well. It was fabulous. His chats included, "Come find me in the woods. I'll be the one in the dirt. But watch your step. I can feel the wind rustling through my leaves." This person didn't break character once and used to make people so mad for some reason, so he got reported all the time. I worked as a social media manager for a sustainable travel charity called Sustrans for a short while in 2014 to 2015. About a week into the job, all heck broke loose on social media with hundreds of random people posting incredibly offensive comments and messages to the accounts. Death threats, you name it. Then the tabloids started messaging us, asking for more information about a dog murderer. We were all scratching our heads. It then hit the national press and things really got out of hand. Actual human poo was posted to the office. It transpired that a fellow had been stealing parts of an iron fence that surrounded a church adjacent to a Sustrans-managed cycle path. Later, a dog had managed to impale itself on a broken bit of fence and it died. The owner blamed Sustrans and blasted the news everywhere. Dog dead equals people lose their crap. Police were involved and eventually, the real story was released. The tabloids were forced to write an apology and clear up the misinformation. Great start to that job. Worked as a moderator for DeviantArt back years ago. Back when the site wasn't all ads and plus services, back when it was about customization of apps and your PC with themes and wallpapers. Back in the good old days, I moderated several categories for submissions and I saw some messed up crap. Among the biggest issue, which was miscategorized submission, were things that were blatantly submitted at random to pass off as just that, random. I've seen and deleted so much child porn that I don't think I'd ever want to have kids myself. It's surreal what kind of messed up crap with kids some people will try to pass off as art. I quit as a mod not long after finding a user's gallery of pictures taken of a mutilated young girl and her scars, in color inverted and multiple Photoshop filters to disguise it as art. All I know is Instagram sucks at monitoring. I reported a page for child rape and pedophilia and they still have the page up and the video is still there. There are thousands of reports on it and comments tagging again they aren't doing crap, but if it's an adult shaking their butt on a video they take it down quickly. SMH. Admin on a private group supporting breastfeeding women. Before I got my admin role I was told dudes were trying to join all the time to see boobs or lactating pics but didn't quite believe it. 2 days in and I'd already rejected at least a dozen men trying to join. We aren't even allowed to show nipple otherwise Zuck bans us, so I don't know why they don't just hit up YouPorn. I used to moderate a chat during live streams. The stream was aimed at staying family friendly so the chats were fairly strict. One guy asked if the streamer clicked on links. Already shady, but the streamer said he'd have someone check out the link for him first. I figured can't be bad, right? The viewer sent a video of a man cutting, not chopping, the head of his penis off. I never told anyone what the link showed and to this day no one knows. My sister worked for Facebook and she and her team had to deal with a bit of terrorist and pedophiles but mostly indecent nude pictures. Used to do community management for a prominent condoms manufacturer. We had one guy that would relentlessly post the same comment, "My dick is the size of a Pringles can," over and over, multiple times a day from different usernames. When we would ban them he would just make more. I was fascinated by his persistence. This went on for years until we stopped working for the client. Pringlekin Dick is probably out there right now terrorizing the new community managers, letting them all know the truth. I'm a pretty prolific mod on Reddit, but I'm kind of surprised by how few really bad posts I've seen. I think the worst one was a video of a guy getting caught under a forklift and kind of smeared across the ground. The video was low res so it was kind of hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure he was very dead. There was also a porn video of a girl playing with her anal prolapse, so that was unpleasant. Mostly it's just looking through normal posts and weeding out the ones that break the rules, with some occasional spam or dick pics thrown in. Aside from adult-on-adult violence, for me, it's got to be the animal and child abuse. I've seen so many people put cats and dogs in washing machines or tumble dryers that I can't really not get reminded of that when I go to do the washing. Saw it on Facebook. It was a black dude getting recorded. He was all tied up. 2 black dudes showed up. They started cutting his tongue. You can still hear the guy screaming and crying. It looks like they were on a forest. Then they started to cut his belly open. Then they cut his arms and legs off. The scariest part was them opening his chest, taking his heart and cutting the veins off one by one. I was legitimately scared and unable to do anything. All I know is that video is still saved somewhere in my device, but it's banned on Facebook. I used to moderate a small gaming forum many years ago. One day someone decided to post a link to the 3 guys, 1 hammer video. It's been 18 years and I can still remember that video. I had a guy announce a terror attack in Sydney in a game I used to do support for. We did collect all the info, IP logs, etc. and contacted the police. Turned out it was some kid from the US. His account never logged in after that and it's been 5 years now. I was a moderator for Imgur. I quit being a mod after viewing and removing a post of someone jumping off a building headfirst and hitting the concrete. It really freaked me up since I was just recovering from suicidal thoughts. I took a break from modding but just couldn't go back after that. I'm 26 and the first animal torturing video I saw was like 12 years ago. I've seen some crap and I'm pretty sure I didn't even saw the worst. I just realized that I can't take it anymore. It's way harder to see things that are described in this thread. I only read the 3 top answers and had to stop at the dog with the chopped up leg. Now I'm crying like a baby. I've seen so much horror and I really wish I could unsee all of it and be naive as a child. Not an employee, mod or admin, but I'll never forget Caitlin Davis streaming her suicide. That freaked me up for a long time. Not a social media company, but I moderate a decently large Discord server. We've been raided a few times, one of which someone posted in every channel a video of a guy with his dick tied to a tree branch, hanging upside down. I've never been so quick to delete something lol. Dang. My son was a moderator for a Second Life sort of game and luckily it was just all text-based bans. Then he went to moderate for a video chat company and would keep a tally of how many dicks he saw that day. When he got done for the day he would write the number on the calendar. He never mentioned any of the really crazy stuff I'm reading about here. Not a mod, but once I was freaking around on Instagram and came across this account with a ton of low resolution videos. I came across one of a soup kettle on a stove and the dude opened the lid and inside was bunnies. His other videos included choking cats and throwing animals against walls. The bunny soup one freaked me up and I cried for like an hour after watching. There was a post on here that traumatized me. It was of a puppy tied down to a log so it could be raped. All I remember is seeing its face and how tired it looked. Who was the mod that had to deal with that? Thank you for your efforts. Long time ago, I was an operations manager for a company that used to be pretty big in the search engine space. When I first started, I was in tech support for small business. I had applied for fantasy sports division, didn't get it. Then I found out about the department that takes down all the porn and thought, oh yeah, sign me up. Found out, it was mainly kiddie porn. This was 2005 or 2006-ish. I sat with a rep in that department to observe. 1 hour and I was like, nah.